What's going on, Meeple people? Welcome back to the channel. Today is October 1st, so that means it's time for the October TBR video. This is my first TBR video to be on the channel, and I'm very excited to bring it to you. So, we're going to start off just by jumping right into it. The first book, this is not first up, it's just first up on the actual stack itself, so that's what gets introduced first. It's going to be the spooky pick for the month, and that is Rot and Ruin. This book is a zombie book. If you couldn't tell by the title itself, it's by Jonathan Mayberry. So what I got from the inside cover of this is that it's kind of like a young adult mixed with some zombie elements in there. There's a kid that's kind of has to join the family business of hunting down zombies and killing them for cash. He's kind of reluctant at joining it at first, so it's going to be interesting to see how that those kind of issues of him being against it kind of coincide with the rest of the story itself. This is probably going to be the last book on my TBR for October. You'll see why that's so influenced coming up in the next books. This one is actually like the longest, I believe, of the 4 books that I have on my TBR, so it's going to take a little bit to get through this one. Also, if I wait, it'll be closer to Halloween, so that's very festive, reading a zombie themed book in the month of October. So the next book is not actually called Mistborn, but it has Mistborn on the front cover. This is The Final Empire. Mistborn is actually the name of the saga. There's a few other books out. This is by Brandon Sanderson. I've heard wonderful things about Sanderson's writing. That it's not that it's easy to read, but it's very well written, and it's just he's a great author to get into for fantasy. This is one of my first attempts to get into fantasy is through the Mistborn trilogy. So I'm actually looking forward to tackling this. This one is going to be actually third on my TBR list this month. So it's actually, I read the back of it. There's not really too much going into it on the back of it of like what's going on in the actual story itself. So we had kind of like an emperor. His name is Lord Ruler. He is kind of head honcho, if you will. It's very kind of like an average thing of like, hey, you have this head guy and we got to overthrow him. And that seems to be the premise of the book. There's not that much on the back of it that kind of describes like what you're getting into. So I'm pretty interested to see where it goes. I've heard great things about the series, so I'm going to dive into that one this month and hopefully dive into the rest of the trilogy as well. It's not one of those trilogies that's like 10 books long or something like that. I can respect those series, and anybody who completes a series, well, the author and the reader themselves, they complete a 10-book series. That's dedication, and I can respect that. That's a lot. It's a lot of time and effort that you're putting into it, whether you're actually writing the book itself or if you're reading the book. There's a lot of effort that goes into that. So. Good on you people for being able to tackle a series like that. I haven't been able to do anything of that sorts yet. I'm just starting with like smaller trilogies, or they're not called duos, but I really forget what that name's called. We'll just go with duos for now. The book that's like a duology. It's duology. I was close. I'll give myself that. This brings us to book number 3, which is actually the second book that I'm going to be reading in the month of October, and that is Scythe by Neal Shusterman. First off, this cover is absolutely gorgeous. Excuse me. Red is one of my favorite colors. It also pairs well with black, and like this kind of off-white color that is on the back of it is just perfect. And I guess you could kind of consider this to be a little bit spooky for the October theme, but it's not too spooky. It really has to deal with the fact that it's a world where they've gotten past hunger, disease, war, famine, misery, all those things that we challenge on an everyday kind of basis. And now it's up to these scythes to do all the killing. So what we follow are two people that get put into this role. They don't really want to be in this role because obviously, choosing the people to kill or to end their life, you're ending a life. That's a huge commitment to take on, and it's almost like an art form in this book, or how it's going to be portrayed is it's almost like an art form to do this. It is part of a trilogy. It's part of the Arc of Scythe trilogy. I actually already got the second one. The third one comes out next spring, I believe. I haven't pre-ordered that or anything, but the second one I already did get because I have high hopes. I've heard, once again, like the Mistborn trilogy, I've heard great things about this book, so I am excited to read this one soon. This one though follows behind our first book of October. And I did cheat a little bit with this book, so it's not necessarily a full October TBR. It's also coming over from the back end of September, and that is Arcadia by Alexander Plansky. This, as you can see, the orange part is the bookmark. I am almost done, not almost done, but 65% of the way through it, I believe, is what my Goodreads is at right now. I absolutely love this book. So it's about a tech journalist that he's writing this report about an addicting video game known as Rogue Horizon, and it just tackles so many modern day political issues coming towards the the viewpoint of violence in video games. I have a very strong viewpoint on that. That I don't think there's a link. I mean, it's been proven that there really isn't too much of a link, but it's one of those things that always gets kind of blamed whenever there's either a violent shooting or really any kind of event similar to that. And it's kind of upsetting. It's like video games are just kind of a fun, unwind thing to do, and they always get thrown under the bus. But that's kind of the message that comes in here. But it's a really great book. I don't want to give away too much about it, but it's kind of like a techno thriller, I would call it. It's considered a fiction and thriller is the actual theme or kind of genre of it. But he also has another book out called Safari that I will probably end up checking out because I'm a big fan of his work in Arcadia. It's going to be a book review video that comes up on this channel. That's going to be my first book review, is going to be Arcadia, and I will get into more depth. I will talk about different things that happened in the book. It will include spoilers, but I will make sure to give you guys plenty of time to kind of tune out the spoilers if you don't want to hear them yet. Maybe you want to read the book first and come back and then watch the rest of the video on how you feel about it. But I've already kind of read way over half of that, so I know a lot about it so far. I just don't want to get too far into it, give anybody any spoilers or anything. But with that being said, that is the October TBR, and here they all are for one last view. I'm very excited to read all of these books. I'd say the Rot and Ruin one I know the least about going into it. Scythe is just looks amazing. Mistborn trilogy, I've heard great things from Sanderson, so I just can't wait to dive into that one. And then lastly, Arcadia has just been an absolutely perfect book for me. I can relate to it being a gamer and just understanding all the pop culture references in there. It's just great. But I hope you guys have enjoyed the video. The question of the day, or the question of the video, is what does your October TBR look like? What are you most looking forward to on your TBR? Let me know in the comment section below. And if you like the video, remember to like and subscribe and ring the bell. That'd be great. I would appreciate that. But that's all. You guys have a great day. Peace.